Good morning. I'm Dr. Petra. Welcome to the Science of Mind class here at CSLDallas. And we had a fabulous conversation last week, and we had a number of people who left with unanswered questions. So hopefully they will wander in here shortly and will ask their questions. One of the things that we talked about last week, which seemed to be a little bit, well, I don't know if a shock is the right word, but maybe it's a reminder. We're in this section called mental laws, and the reminder that we are operating in a universe that has, as Ernest Holmes says, a dual unity. So we have that somewhat recognizable idea of spirit that we get from the West, which is this palpable love, this impulse of life to express itself. And then, equally as important, equally as a part of it, we get from the East, we get the understanding of these laws, that the universe is actually run on laws. The fundamental law being the law of cause and effect. And we think of this as the way the universe moves from the idea of something to be created to creation. There's this process that happens, which is governed by laws. And these laws are automatic. They are inexorably moving with what is given to the law and to make that so. And we spend an enormous amount of time trying to figure out how to manifest things, when really all we have to do is decide what it is that we want to experience, what we're interested in exploring, the kind of situation or life, or quite frankly, very specific thing that we want to have as an end result. I want to get a PhD, I want to build a business, I'm going to start learning how to do art, I want to have a family, I'm not exactly sure where to live. All of these things are part of the life that we're creating and experiencing. And once we set something, choose something, decide something, that's our part. The rest of the part is the universe moving in a lawful manner to bring that about in some form or fashion. Which means that's the part that we generally obsess about, we don't need to. And then the other side of the coin there is, because the law is automatic and impersonal, it has no opinion about what we choose. It's not so much that it doesn't care. It wants, the universe is forever seeking to express itself. That's what it cares about. Spirit wants to be all that it can be as us, as individualized expressions. But what that looks like, that's entirely up to us. And as Thomas Troward says, there's no bad choice and there's actually no mistake. Make a choice, it either works out or it doesn't. It teaches us what we like, what we don't like, teaches us that it's fulfilling or not, it teaches us that it helps us make a contribution, it teaches us that this is how we want our life to unfold, this is the contribution we want to make to the world, or it's not. But the law, there's no judgment about the choice that we make other than the consequences that are the outpicturing of the law, saying, well, if you make this choice, here's how it outpictures, here's how it shows up. And that is either satisfying and fulfilling and allows us to give our gift and our contribution, or it's not. And so we make a new choice. So we spend an inordinate amount of time on two things that are not helpful. The first one is it the right choice? Am I making the right choice? How do I know what to choose? Right? And as if there's somehow written somewhere in the sky or in God or in the mind of God, Joe should be XYZ. And if Joe isn't doing XYZ, then there's something wrong. So we're always looking for what's the right choice, when in fact they are simply choices and the outcome of those choices. And then, so we spend way too much time. We'll discover whether it's the right choice or not if we'll just be brave enough to take some steps and then go, how does it feel? Is this work? Is this satisfying? Is this the direction? Even if it's scary, even if it's hard, even if it's uncomfortable, if it feels like this is the direction that is really fulfilling me in some form or fashion, then in that moment it's the right choice. And then the other thing, as I said, is we spent an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out all the steps of the process, all the ways that it could go wrong, all the things we have to do to make sure it doesn't go wrong, rather than trusting in that law that it has the wisdom and intelligence to know what is needed, and to recognize that yes, we're a part of the unfolding. We have to step out. We have to do the things that make sense for us to do. We have to listen for the nudge, which is actually the law nudging us. The law is bringing what our outcome is to us while it's nudging us in this direction, and we can make a choice along the way, and the law then has to have that be part of the path that takes us to the end result. So when we don't have to obsess about is it the right choice, and when we don't have to obsess about how are we going to make this happen, that's a whole lot of worry we can set aside. Of course, in the traditions, in our traditions that we were raised in, that's called faith, right? When you don't have to worry about things like that, it's called faith. I like the word trust. We're trusting in the law, we're trusting in the way the universe works, and we're trusting that at any point we can say, I'm going to make a new choice, which then sets a new process in motion. We've given the law some new information or a new outcome, or we can say, well, along the way, not this over here. And then that becomes part of what shapes it. But we're not having to figure everything out all the time. And so, so this is at the bottom of page 78 as we look at this. At the end here, the law, the very last sentence of the last full paragraph. This law of cause and effect is not to be confused with kismet, which is fate, because its tendency can be changed. In the science of mind and in New Thought, we say you set a new cause in motion. So just because a cause has been set in motion doesn't mean a new cause can't be set in motion. And sure, there may be some lingering consequences that have to be worked out as your new cause is getting into play. But ultimately, it's not as though it's fate or there's nothing you can do about it. It's not as though the idea that somehow, well, it always feels a little bit like punishment. You know, you made some really poor choices in your 20s, and somehow in the next lifetime you're going to have to receive the same thing because you made those poor choices, right? But if we recognize that we can learn and grow and make new choices, then we're setting a new cause in motion. So this law, there is a law in the universe which operates in a certain way according to the tendency set in motion, and does so mathematically and inexorably. So mathematically is basically a nod to the statement by Jesus, the master teacher in the Christian tradition, who said, "It is done unto you as you believe." Right? That as is a mathematical statement. The as is the equal sign in a mathematical statement. It is done unto you. So the outcome is equal to what you believe. And it is what we believe that sets the law in motion. Well, it's what we believe that keeps the law in motion in whatever direction its tendency has been. And so our spiritual work, so much of our spiritual work, our affirmations, our visualizations, our spiritual mind treatment, our affirmative prayer, all the things that we do to break a habit, to break a way of thinking, to break a way of expectation, all of it, the way it works, a false expectation that we have, like, oh, the other shoe's always going to drop, it never works out for me, yada, 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 right? When we break those habits and we begin to build new habits of thinking, we're building new beliefs, and this then changes the directionality of the outcome of the way the law's moving toward our outcome, because we have changed the equation. It is done unto you as you believe. So we're constantly working on what our belief is, which basically is what we believe to be true and how we expect the world to operate. We cannot destroy the law, but we can redirect its movement. Just as we plant seeds and later decide we wish something else, we go out and uproot the first seeds and plant others in their place. We're not destroying the soil. We have simply determined to use it in a different way. When we are dealing with what another term for this law of cause and effect is subjectivity, we are always dealing with that which is subject to conscious volition, which means that the directionality doesn't change because we decided we were going to become spiritual. The directionality doesn't change because we decided that we were going to be a loving person. The directionality changes because we have changed what's in our subjective mind. Because we have worked to change our belief about something, and that means sometimes the belief is misunderstood. To change an expectation, a pattern of thinking, a habitual way of seeing the world, all of those things are the patterns and habits of our subjective mind. And when we change that, the tendency of the law is automatically changed. And we do that by choosing something different and then doing the hard and disciplined work of staying committed to that choice in consciousness. And over and over and over and over again, right? Choosing that new thought, idea, belief, expectation, mental equivalent, all the ways in which we talk about that, so that we stay committed, so that the law can continually unfold that. That one of the challenges that we have in addition is that we can vacillate. I am going to be so positive that this is going to work out. I'm going to be so positive this is going to work out. I know it's going to work out. I know the universe is for me. I know it's going to work out. Oh God, I hope it's going to work out. Things don't always work out for me. You know, I have this belief that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. Right? And we all do this, especially when we're in the middle of really redirecting. But do you see, that's the disciplined work of our conscious mind, is to become self-aware, first of all, of the things that are going on in there that are reinforcing what we don't want, how we don't want it to unfold, and then to redirect, so that we're refocusing on that outcome, that end result that we are actually going for, and staying as focused as we can. I'll never forget a spiritual teacher of mine, Reverend Virginia Seville, bless her heart. Oh my God, she was amazing. And she would say, look, really, you only need 51%. So don't fret over every negative thought you have. Don't go, oh, I can't say no. Oh my God. Oh, I had this moment. I had this day of, just abject fear. Well, okay. But if you had 3 days of not, right? What the problem is, what we tend to do is to do 15 or 20 minutes of spiritual work in the morning. We look at our vision board, we do a little meditation, we maybe write an affirmation, and then we spend the rest of the day worrying about how it's not going to work out. Right? Do you see, we're not even close to 51%, or our 51%, or our 75%, or our 80% is way on the other side, right? And sometimes it's so remember that what the law operates on isn't just, oh, I'm going to decide it's going to be okay. What the law operates on is, what do we believe to be true? That's what the law operates on. That's why we do the spiritual work. So if the what I believe to be true is it's going to be okay, do you see, if I have moments of it really is okay, because the fundamental belief is it's going to be okay. And the more of that's true, the more effortlessly the law pulls us through those moments. The other side of that coin is, if we're generally going and we only spend 15% of our time on it's going to be okay, I'm just going to make, do you see? Oh, I know what I was going to say. So sometimes it's hard to get from, for me, one of my core beliefs was for a long time, the other shoe's going to drop. The minute it starts getting good, just don't get attached, because the other shoe is going to drop, right? Based on my childhood trauma and blah, blah, blah. And so it was very difficult for me to get from the other shoe is going to drop to it's all going to be okay. Like, that was such a monumental leap that I couldn't actually believe it. But what I could do, doing all my spiritual work, working with what the nature of reality is, working with who I am as a spiritual being, I could at first get to, well, the other shoe doesn't have to drop. I call that neutral. And then as I began to go, well, yeah, that makes sense. Why would the other shoe always need to be dropped? What do I know about the universe? Oh, its tendency is, its directionality is for life. Its directionality is for good. And the law knows how to do that. So if I can get out of the way, it's automatically going in that direction. So the other shoe doesn't need to drop, was me getting out of the way. Once I sort of felt like, oh, I think I can really stand there, then I could move to, no, really, it's all going to be okay. It's always okay. It is actually always okay. Oh, it's always okay. Do you see? But to get from way over here to way over here, sometimes that's too far, because it's based on what we believe, not what we say. And yet, we can't change our beliefs unless we start saying something new. Unless we start consciously working to provide a new direction to our thinking, which then becomes a more felt, lived, and embodied reality for us, right? We actually have to accept, we have to do the work to accept that our conscious statements are true. The moment that we accept or embody that our conscious statement is true, we have at that moment subjectified it, meaning we've placed it into the subjective mind, which is what actually the law uses to unfold our lives. But once it's there, it's automatic. We don't then have to make it happen, right? That's where we spend not unnecessary amount of time. Not that we don't have to do stuff, but it's part of the process of it happening. All right, so we're going to stop there. And again, check in. How does it feel to know that there is actually there's no right answer and there's no right way? How does it feel to know that it really is what you decide, what you choose, how you see and imagine the life that you want to contribute to life as a whole, and this idea that the law is the one that is doing all the work. So let's stop there, say welcome back, Ryan. We're so happy to have you back from vacation. And we're gonna see what's going on out there.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Petra, and hello to all the new faces here in the room, and hello to all the, I don't want to say old faces, that doesn't work.
Season returning.
That sounds really offensive, doesn't it? Hello to all my friends.
There you go. Our Sunday morning
friends.
peeps.
And hello to all the friends that are online with us, because we have a whole plethora of you guys, and it's great to be back with you all. I was out there having sun and fun and rocking on a boat, and it was great. So I'll post some pictures for you guys to enjoy the time with us. But this is an engaging discussion, and we encourage everybody to share their input. And so we have a few housekeeping rules to go over real quick. And for those here in the audience, if you'd like, you can raise your hand. And myself, or the iconic Richard, or the rock star Patrick over here, we got a couple people to help, so we really appreciate that. We love volunteers.
Really? I don't have an adjective.
Absolutely. And so you can just raise your hand and we'll hand you a microphone so that folks online can hear you. And then for those who are joining us online, which I do see a hand raised here, for those who are in Zoom, you can just hit the raise your hand icon located down below, or tippy tap me a chat and I could bring it into the room as well. And the same goes true for all of those around the globe who are watching us on Facebook. It's great to see you all, and good evening to those on the other side hanging out with us today. And you can put your questions and comments in the chat, and I can bring that into the room as well. Okay. And I do like to mention that I keep the chats anonymous, so that way we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So as it stands, do you want to go ahead and do an online person first?
Sure,
Okay.
and then we'll look for some hands in the room.
Awesome. So we have Armando. Armando, would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself and join the conversation?
Good morning, Armando.
Good morning, Dr. Petra. Thank you, Ryan. Mine is about the details of the how is what's happening right now. I've had this vision that I've been holding for quite some time, and I've done applying all my spiritual disciplines and whatnot. And this vision is about to become into fruition within the next couple of weeks. However, this requires now the details on the how, the budget and everything that it takes. And I'm like, holy moly, the time is here. Right. And now it's the details on the how and what am I going to do? And then I was just like, I don't have experience in this area, et cetera, et cetera. But what I was reminded of was that I can turn my how in the details over as part of my vision and apply my spiritual disciplines to the detail and the how. I don't have to have the credentials. I don't have to have the expertise. Everything will unfold. And so I turned that over, and lo and behold, I reached out to one of my allies and I said, how can we support you? What do you need? Oh, do you know anybody here? Let me open that door for you. Yes. Oh, do you need this? And then all of a sudden there's this major carrier that I was on a call with, and all of a sudden it was like, well, what do you need? Yes. Well, I need iPads. I need this. Oh, here it is. We have it. And so it's back again. It's about that trust that you're saying, and it's about believing and affirming. And I had to change my language with my words, to change it into that confidence. And now I really don't have to worry about the details of the how, because it's being taken care of and it's being unfolded, and it will all come into place when it's supposed to. And so is that, yes. I'm questioning the detail on the how, but I think I stepped into what I needed to get done, but trusting and allowing the universe to do what it needs to do and guide me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Armando, right? Because you were still part of the process by realizing, one, you were getting a little too wigged out about like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out. Right? The minute we step back, we recognize, no, it's the universe's job to figure it out. And as we step into that deep faith of trust, and then, oh, maybe I should call this person. Oh, they're going to ask me how I can help them. Well, I'm going to be prepared with an answer. And so do you see, we're actually a part of the process in the science of mind. We call it treat and move your feet. You do understand that the law is going to make it happen, and we keep showing up for it, keep showing up for it, keep showing up for it, keep saying yes to the opportunity, keep following the nudge, call this person, check out with this ally, see what's going on. But if we have to figure it all out ahead of time, one, half the time we never step out, and two, we've basically squeezed the lifeblood out of it, and we're so frustrated and exhausted ourselves that there's no room for the miracle. There's no room for somebody to step in and say, what do you need? How can I help you? But part of what the law does is actually bring to us the person, the people, the situations, the answers, the whatever it is that's part of the unfolding. And so that was a beautiful, beautiful sharing, Armando. And of course, we all have those moments where we're like, how am I going to figure this out? What do I do next? What if I don't know? And for me, that's when I go, well, I may not know, but there is that within me which does know. And that within me which does know is that infinite law. That infinite law that inexorably knows how to get me from here to there. And keep listening for what's mine to do, and keep knowing that whatever is needed is being drawn in. So thank you so much for that sharing, Armando, and can't wait to hear your TSRW. Fabulous. All right, we've got a hand in the room here, then we'll go back out online.
Go ahead and get that on over to them. And I know that every time Armando shares a story, it's definitely TSRW, so shout out to you, Armando.
Yeah.
And the cardboardproject.org. They're doing a lot of great things. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning, I'm Shauna. So Armando is always so beautiful when he shares his stories. So I'm just going to share a different way of doing TSRW, which is just so much more messy than his way. But I thought it was a great contrast, because it is a TSRW, but mine are just so messy. So, and I'm learning, but so I launched a whole new business that I've been wanting to do, aim towards mid and senior level leaders in business. And I've been wanting to do it for 18 months. And I've been thinking about it, really, and I knew I was called to do this. It was a deep calling, that this was a way to reach more people. And so I finally did it. And God brought lots of people to help me launch it. And the content, I know, I've lived that content all my life. I know it so clearly. But the way I launched it, which is an online program, is a totally different content. And I had lots of help. God brought me lots of help. But I just leapt off the cliff. And there was the content I knew, but everything around the delivery was new to me. And so I was in this huge learning curve. And I was terrified. Even though I had all these people helping me, I was terrified, right? And it was hard stuff. And lots of stuff that I thought wasn't there came out. Lots of feelings around, I can't learn this is too fast, it's too hard. And I had experts helping me the whole way, right? And I got through it, and I'm halfway through the content. The program is amazing. People are giving me such amazing, feedback. But it's been really messy. And I've had to journal a lot, and lots of, you can't learn this, you can't learn it fast enough, you're not good enough. All this stuff is showing up, and I'm having to work through all of it, right? And it is the TSRW because the response is so much better than I ever dreamed, and I'm so excited. I'm doing a second 6 weeks program starting in November, but now I'm going back to my coaches, my therapists, and I'm working through all the stuff that showed up. And this is sort of how I do it, is that I leap out into these things I know I'm called to do. I can feel it in my heart and my intuition. And I finally have to leap out because I have to get through the resistance, because it's something new and something I'm not competent at and all of that. And I do it in faith because I know it works every time if I just leap out in faith, but I have to deal with all the stuff that comes up.
Right.
So I'm always messy about it, right? But when I leap, and it's a faith leap, and I know this stuff is going to come up, I'm going to have to deal with it again.
Right.
The TSRW
well, good for
always
you,
happens.
Shauna. Good for you for doing
But I
that.
wish it wasn't so messy.
Well, okay, so let me give you some feedback. I think you are comparing your insides to Armando's outsides.
Okay.
So because I know Armando, and I heard him say, maybe you missed it, that he was trying to figure it out, that he was all engaged, and he was like, I don't know how to do this, I don't have a certificate, I don't have a degree. So he was doing exactly what you were talking about, right? And so we make this mistake thinking that somehow people are getting out of not having to do their work. But what I know about Armando and what I know about you is that you do your work. But that's what makes the expectation that this is going to work out, right? That's what makes that expectation stronger than the messiness that has to come up. It has to come up for all of us. We do ourselves a disservice if we think, oh, now that I've decided and given my outcome to the law, I'm just going to sit back and it's going to do it for me, and it's going to be all ease and grace. This is why people are affirming ease and grace, because it isn't. It's always going to bring up those things within us that are the beliefs that are standing in the way, that are the beliefs that keep us small. I mean, so you had equally as beautiful an example of what it means to trust the process, right? And so you knew all this, you had to work through all this stuff. That's going to be true for all of us. Anytime.
I just like to skip that part.
Oh, well, when you're turning pink and transcend, that's when you'll start skipping that part. Right, because by definition, leaping off, by definition, means you're leaping into the unknown. And good for you. Good for you for doing that. Too often we stand on this side of the unknown and say, well, I'm not going to leap until I know it's going to work, and who's going to help me, and what am I going to do, and how is this going to, and I have to deal with this belief, and I have to figure out how I'm going to get through that, right? And so we stand on this side, and we figure all of that stuff has to be handled, and then we'll leap, and then the universe will support us.
It did take me 18 months to finally say.
Well, it's good, right? Of course it does. Of course it does, right? And it's 18 months is a nanosecond as far as the universe is concerned, right? It's a nanosecond. And so, and so that's equally as beautiful. Do you see that the process is simply the process? And it is, and at some point we do say, this is the thing I'm going for. And the universe rallies around, and part of that is the universe isn't just out there, right? The universe in here is also rallying around, meaning I got to clean out the shit, man. I got to clean out this stuff that's standing in the way. So boom, here it is. Boom, here it is. Boom, here it is. Boom. Oh gosh.
That's a perfect design.
Let's not ask Ryan how many times Petra had a complete meltdown when we first were in the pandemic, and we were doing this with the camera and the thing and nobody in the room. And I was trying to figure out how to give a talk in some inspiring, like energetic way when I'm so used to having people smile, nod, or go, what? And then I can see their face like, what? Oh, I'm not getting over it, And I had numerous meltdowns that Ryan had to deal with. So, and then I'm not good enough. This isn't my medium. I don't know how to do this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate technology. I hate technology. Technology is my friend. That was my affirmation it still is, because I just about threw my computer out the window the other day. So it's still my affirmation, right? Because I still think I can't learn it fast enough, and I still am mad when they change the program, and I'm still mad that when things, and over and over and over again, we get to breathe and say, can I move into trust? Okay, so I'm trusting that as I do this work, it's clearing it out, I'm moving forward. So I think yours is equally as beautiful of a description. So thank you, Shauna, and good for you. I can't wait to hear more about it. Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, I see that we have Ross over here.
Oh,
You want to
yay.
hand him the mic?
My name is Ross. I have a joke I tell myself many times every day. Let us avoid the obvious. And once I heard the law, it was obviously true. It fit my experience perfectly. But I avoided it for I don't know how many years.
Right.
Instead, I built this complicated mythology as to how things worked. It all went away.
Wow.
And I found I don't have to make value judgments on things, although I do sometimes.
Right.
All these things about myself that I sometimes feel embarrassed about, they don't embarrass me anymore.
Good.
It's a learning experience.
Yes.
And so the obvious thing is accept the law. And how I'm doing this is I'm putting specific outcomes and I say, okay, do it. I don't have to much worry about it. I got a specific outcome I'm going for.
Right.
And within a week it starts showing up.
Beautiful.
I'll tell you about it sometime.
Good. Thank you. Thanks, Ross. Yeah, we can get very elaborate about all the things. We get very superstitious, and we play all kinds of games. We have a lot of, we think it's all out there, all kinds of things going on. It's really very straightforward. Do your own work, and the universe will support you. Right? And we think that our spiritual work is going to help us avoid it being hard. Let me disabuse you of this notion. No, actually, the truth is exactly the opposite. Because you will be more willing to go for the things that are important to you. Which means, right, the new things, whatever it is, which means that you are going to have to let yourself fall in love despite the fact that you've been betrayed in the past. You are going to have to leap off that cliff despite the fact that it's taken months and months and months to get you to the cliff, and it's terrifying, right? All of these things, because we're on a spiritual path, does not mean it's going to be easy. What it does mean is that it doesn't have to be a struggle. Right? It takes effort, but it doesn't have to be a struggle. What's the difference? For me, the difference is that effort is what I choose. Struggle is the story I tell about it. Right? And struggle is when I say it shouldn't be like this, and it's somebody else's fault, and it's all about my resistance, and why should it be like this, and why would I have to do this, and who's making me do this, and I don't like this, and blah, 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 blah. Effort says, I'm going to climb this mountain. Oh my God, I'm sweating. Oh, I got to stop. Oh, do I have enough water? Okay, I'm going to climb this mountain. Oh my God, okay, it's really hot. Okay, I'm going to climb this mountain, right? Which it takes effort. It takes effort to do all these things that we have said we want to do to contribute or to grow or to have lives that work or to make a difference to a world that works. These things take effort, and sometimes it's hard. But it doesn't have to be a struggle, which means it doesn't have to be so painful because we're constantly telling ourselves the opposite story. And so, yeah, and to me, that's part of what makes it worthwhile, too. Not that things have to be hard for them to be worthwhile, but there's I don't know, there's something about growing that calls us to push through things, right? To push through them. Push through the false belief, I can't do this. Push through the, I hate technology. Push through if my child asks me, can I go to the bathroom one more time when I think they should be sleeping, right? I mean, we have all kinds of things to push through. I don't want to offend somebody, so I don't know that I can speak. I don't know if I can tell the truth. What if I tell the truth? What if I say all those things, right? They actually require courage and effort. But that courage and effort, I find, is a little bit easier because I know that the universe's directionality is actually for our good. It's actually desiring to express itself through us fully and completely, and the law has already been designed to support that trajectory and to support the directionality that we choose. Yeah, so last thing, anything else going on out there, Ryan, before we bring ourselves to a close?
Yeah, I actually wanted to bring this up because talking about all of this makes me think about prosperity and abundance.
Yes.
And you know what got me thinking here, Petra, was we have a home study group that's going to be starting in October that's focusing in on learning about the universal principles on how prosperity and abundance works. And so the invitation to you all, wink, wink, hint, hint, here in the room is to get together with each other. It's a free offering. You get to walk through. We have some amazing videos, which I've been chopping away at. They look amazing, by the way. Petra did a wonderful job on it. And it's great information. And it's for you guys to get together. There's a host. They'll walk you through the different weeks, and it's all throughout the month of October. So I just want to make an invitation for those here in the room, for those online, and all over the world, because we're worldwide, baby.
Yes.
And so you can join. There's sign-up table over there. And I'll put the link inside of the chats as well, too, so you guys can join up. It's going to be starting in October.
Yeah, and
Right
the
around the
theme
corner.
for our home study group and the month of October is thriving a state of being. Thriving a state of being, because when our lives are thriving, it's really a powerful place for us to be able to actually move through leaping off a cliff. Move through, right, these things that we really want to expand into that are terrifying. And truthfully, when you get to week 3, don't be surprised if it requires some of this effort we've been talking about. Because thriving does actually require some significant work on our part. And so we really dive into it around prosperity and abundance, and it really has to do with paying attention to our choices. And so, yeah, it's a good curriculum. I'd love to have you be a part of it. And I love I love our theme, thriving a state of being, right? It's both a declaration of truth. Thriving is our state of being. It's also an affirmation, because we don't always feel like we're thriving, right? So we're affirming that it's our state of being, and we're paying attention to what's needed for us to really fully move into embracing that. And of course, having our money work is a significant portion of thriving. It's really hard to feel like you're thriving when the wolf's at the door, or it's not working the way that you think it should work, or there's fear and uncertainty around it. So yeah, something to be involved in with us. All right.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
Unconvinced until now.
It's really a good program. And you know, we have so many people online that one of the only ways for us to connect with you is for you to be in small groups, be in a small group or be in a class. That's how you get to know the other people that are online. That's how you get to know the people in the room if you're generally online. And if you're all over the world, we want you to be connected to our community. And it is in getting in these groups, all the different little groups that we offer that allow you to really become an integral part of CSL Dallas and not just a lurker.
We see you, lurkers. We're watching you, too.
So that's right. Well, and some of our Sunday folks, some of our in-person folks are lurkers, too. So it's not just online. They sneak in and then they sneak out, you know. So, which is sort of what I did when I first got around. 6 months of lurking I did in the back way in the back. So, but we want you to come in, come in. That doesn't mean necessarily in person. That means come into the community. Don't be afraid. Sign up. Don't be afraid. It's really, really, really worth doing. And if you're signing up for different, different home study group and then a different group and then a class, pretty soon you'll find your tribe within this tribe. You'll find your tribe. You'll find your peeps. And then you'll start doing things together, even if you're all online and you're all over the world. And when you can, come be in the room with us, because that's also really wonderful. All right, so we'll see you at the celebration here in a little bit. And we'll see you in Thriving, a State of Being, the whole month of October. We also have some classes coming up. That's another thing you can sign up for. We have 2 amazing classes coming up with 2 amazing teachers, Carol Merlot and Dr. Tracy Brown, 2 amazing classes. CSLDallas.org/education. They're actually on the front page. If you scroll down of the website, the upcoming offerings are right there on the front page. 2 incredible classes coming up. Another way you can get connected and be part of the community. Don't be left out. We love having you be a part of that community. All right, so bye for now. We'll see you soon.
What are you going to speak on this morning?